Today's the day, boys. Today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. Finally taking you guys along for the first drive in the LS1 powered E36. Transmission is fixed. That was really our only holdup because that old transmission, I put like 20, 30, maybe 40 miles on it with that old thing, and I couldn't make a good video for you guys because I couldn't drive it properly. Like it was just trash. So I had recorded me driving it with that transmission, and it just wasn't up to par. And for any of you viewers out here, this is my 1994 BMW 325 IS. It is my first car, and I recently swapped an LS1 in it. So now that I have the new T56 Magnum in there, it's time for a real first drive. Let's get it fired up. Makes me so happy driving this because it just drives exactly how it should. And it's not even tuned. It runs so good. It is a beautiful day today. It's perfect. It's like 75, partly sunny. Excellent driving for a car with no AC. I mean, it just runs great for just being a base tune. See, it's not even fully learned yet, but coolant temp is good, air to fuel is good, battery's good, oil pressure good, everything is good. So far, so good. So I finally get to send this thing through the corners, remember what it's like, what an E36 is all about, and that's the cornering. And it just feels so good. Even this has like cheap tires on them. I'll have to get the brand, but like the front is even different than the rear. I have 225, 245s. It was not enough for 700 horsepower, and it's not enough for the setup I have now, especially being an LS. So it does like to spin gears. But I assume that would happen, so wider wheels and tires coming soon. But I will say the thing rips. It feels great in the high RPMs. Actually a lot better than I thought it would be. It's not as torquey as I imagined, but it is still torquey. I don't know if that's a result of the tune, the intake manifold, the cam, whatever's in it, but it pulls hard up top, which is not what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting it to fall on its face, but it doesn't. It just pulls great. But on the back roads, man, it feels so good. And on the highway, I only drove it on the highway briefly because this is still a new build. I just want to make sure I don't drive too far and get stranded because something weird would happen. But on the highway, it feels fine. And I don't know if I'm ever going to use 6th gear. I don't. Like, 1st gear feels good. I actually like the gear ratio with 1st. But 6th, man, I think I'd have to be, honestly, going like 100 miles an hour to ever use it. So obviously that's not going to happen. But I am generally happy with the gear ratio. The T56 Magnum F, I want the more aggressive one because I only have a 315 rear end, and it seems to fit the 315 very well. First isn't too long, it's not too short, it seems just about right, and she rips. The exhaust is like, obviously it's loud and it's gonna get old, but it's not totally unbearable, which I'm surprised by. I thought it was gonna be way louder and just like drone and everything in the car. It actually seems pretty fine. It's not bad. It's not bad at all, surprisingly. Still gonna swap it out. I want to do a full stainless steel dual kit with some kind of muffler, some kind of resonator with V-bands that I can swap in and out, because the exhaust that's on there is kind of a little cheap, a little janky, but it does do the trick. It's better than what I could have built on the floor on my own with a Harbor Freight welder and no skills. But let me know what you guys think of the sound. I think it sounds amazing. Of course it does. It's a straight pipe LS1. But give me your ideas for mufflers or resonators or whatnot to quiet it down a little bit. I'm new to the LS1 exhaust world, obviously. On my turbo setup, it was a 3.5 inch stainless steel kit all the way back with one large Magnaflow muffler, and that sounded very good. I loved how that thing sounded. Obviously very different than this. Speaking of cornering, when it comes to cornering, these seats are legit. Still have to do some adjusting on them. The passenger side is a little too close to the door panel. It hits it, but not enough to stop the door from closing. I just want to shift it towards the center a little bit. And both of them I want to lean back a hair because I'm sitting like super straight up. So that's an easy adjustment as well. I have to pull the seats out for some mods anyway, coming soon. Now paired with a T56 Magnum F is the Mgw Shifter. And so far it feels wonderful. Now from what I've read, these brand new T56s, I'd assume the regular and the mags, need a break-in period. They say once it breaks in, it shifts even better. Right now, it does shift very well, but it is very, very notchy. Definitely not like a ZF or the E36 M3 transmission I had in here, but still nice. I still like it. The lever in there is tight. You can see the shifts are relatively short, just about right. Not too short, not too long. Obviously, I could make it shorter if I were to. I can shorten this shaft. So I could bring this down, but I don't know if I'll do that or not. We'll see. I still got messing around to do. Still have to put a lot more miles on this thing to get used to basically everything about it. It's just so hard to describe the feeling you get from a car, especially a car that you built. It's just great. So I'm going to do the best I can to describe my driving experience and everything with this car thus far. I definitely need to do something about these brakes though, because they are obnoxiously loud. Ugh. Yikes. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the engine. Obviously BMW wouldn't have done that back in the day, but this is the engine that should have came in the E36, at least the M3. You know, this is not an M3, it's a 325 IS, but it has a bunch of M3 bits. Because I'm a poser. You guys know the E36 M3, I mean, 240 horsepower was not enough. It was not that differentiated from the other E36 models. That's why when I got this car, I didn't need an M3. Now looking back, I should have gotten an M3, but you know, I was 17 or 18 years old at the time. So, and this was completely rust-free, pretty good condition. That's why I got it. And I'm gonna hold on to it because it's unique for sure.
Gonna hear that chop chop. RIP eardrums, holy sh**.
But an NA V8 is exactly what the E36 chassis needs. I've had 3 different turbo setups on this car. They all made a lot of power, sounded cool, ran well, but the reliability just wasn't there. Kind of prone to head gasket issues. They can blow pretty easily. And then with my last setup, I had a stock ECU, but then I had an electronic boost controller. I had a whole bunch of electronic gauges with a data logger. I had meth injection. So all these electronics just started adding up, and I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So if I ever boost another S50 based engine, which I'm going to, I'm going to run a standalone, I believe. Either that or I'll try to keep it simple and just run E85 and not have all that extra electronics and stuff, because it gets to be too much, you know? But this car should be very, very reliable. It's going to do well at autocross and track days. Hopefully I can get to some autocross here shortly. Track, I don't know if I'll hit a track this year. I've never done that before. Obviously I need to make sure the car is good to go, work out any kind of kinks that might arise in the time coming. But I think it'll do really well at a track. Auto X, it should do pretty well too. I did Auto X before in this car. Suspension was there, the tires are not, and the engine was not set up for that, because it would be like nothing, 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 boost, spin the tires, brake, go around a curve, same thing, rinse and repeat. This would be very, very predictable, super easy to use at Auto X. I'm looking forward to that. It's probably still gonna have the crappy tires on it. Wheels and tires coming soon though, so that's gonna help with that department a lot. Look at what these brakes do. Like, this is like probably 30 miles on this car since I washed it. HB Plus pads are just not designed for the street, obviously. as I'm sure everyone is aware. But yeah, guys, I love it. The driving experience is insane. It's so good. It's just what this car needed. I'm very, very happy. If you're considering a turbo versus an LS motor, depending on what you want to do with the car, the LS motor is more suited for this chassis. Plus, it's going to be lighter. Now, I'm going to get this car weighed at some point. I don't know what it's going to weigh, but the LS1, I believe, is lighter than the S50. And then on top of that, removing all that turbo stuff is a lot of weight too, because the exhaust manifold is super heavy, turbo's heavy, intercooler's heavy, piping not heavy, but it adds up. And then all the electronics and stuff like that in there. This is probably a much more balanced car. It's probably back close to that 50-50 weight distribution as it should be. But man, this thing rips. It's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, guys. That's gonna be the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed the driving footage that was long promised and long overdue. Thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, sharing. Thanks for all that, guys. More to come. There's actually some mods in the garage now. Can't show you, though you may have seen them, but some mods I got to get to installing. So we'll see you next time.